Hi,
Huh?
Mary.
Hey, how are ya?
Good. I was just admiring before we got on the call your amazing artwork behind you. I totally thought you were in a coffee shop because people don't usually have such cool art in their houses.
Well, I tell you what, beauty is a big thing for me. So I have like art everywhere and everything is colorful in my house because it totally changes my mood. So yeah, this is such a fun piece. I love it.
It's amazing. So, thank you so much for being here. I just want to kind of read your bio for folks who aren't already
Yeah.
familiar with your awesome work. Mary Crimmins is on a quest to feel alive and to live a life full of gratitude, joy, authenticity, and abundance in body, mind, and soul. She lives in the heart of Nashville, like everyone else, I feel like, and
Yeah.
her days are spent juggling the roles of holistic lifestyle advocate, wellness advocate, yogi, mentor, and personal life and business coach. She is passionate about travel, food, natural lifestyle, essential oils, self-improvement, femininity, sexuality, anything local, and she always strives to find beauty in all things, as we were just talking about. Mary
Yep.
is a top leader in doTERRA and has a team of many, many thousands of men and women who she works to lead and inspire on a daily basis with her brand of fully alive living. Awesome.
Yay. I love that. That just sound like when you read that, I'm like, that sounds fun. Like that's my life. I love it.
That's so cool you have that reaction, and I feel like this we're going to talk about this in the interview, but your reaction, I think a lot of people do that like shrinking thing when they hear their bio being read, which is something that I do. And I know, I mean, I'm starting to learn that it's kind of an issue, that I have,
Yeah.
but it's so cool that you're like owning your awesome life. That's a very interesting moment.
Well, I would just hope that like your own life lights you up, and I feel like mine does. Like when I hear that, I think that it's intentional that I created the life the way I created it because it does bring me so much joy. And so I got to just like pause and rejoice in that. It's fun.
That's really powerful. Wow. Okay. That was a powerful intro moment with Mary Crimmins.
Yay.
Okay, so I want to ask about kind of I want to talk a bit about this idea of sort of mentoring and guiding others.
Yeah.
And you have a quote where you say everything is a teacher, everyone is a teacher. You go on to say we attract people into our lives to help teach us easy and incredibly hard lessons. And I am grateful to each one. Some people come into our lives for brief moment, like the man sitting next to me on the airplane who talked to me for 5 hours on the way to Peru, which sounds intense, by the way.
It was.
That's my interjection. Others stay in our lives for a season, who help shine a mirror onto something that is coming up for us at the time that needs healing. And some stay in our lives for a lifetime. Some are people we journey with. Tell me about kind of what this means about everyone is a teacher and how we can really learn from everyone, including that guy on the plane.
Yeah. I love this I can't remember where I kind of came up with this concept or where I heard it, but it has totally shifted the way I view people. I'm an introvert at heart. So for me, the thought of talking to somebody on a plane for 5 hours is not my idea of a good time. But it's like when I understood that everyone has something to offer us. It's just that most of the time, we've got our earphones in, we're on the phone, we're listening to music. Like I work at coffee shops a lot to get out of my house. And I typically have my earphones on and I'm just kind of, in the zone doing work. And what I realize is that it's by no mistake that we have attracted the people who are in our sort of sphere, for lack of a better word. Like whoever is close to us, strangers, and then people that we are actually like committed to relationship with, are there, I believe, for a reason, to teach us something. And I think that every person that we come in contact with is a mirror, is a teacher. And they have something for us and we have something for them. And so I now begin to look at anybody that I am coming into contact with, whether that's a server at a restaurant, whether that's the person doing my nails, whether that's the person doing my hair, the barista at the coffee shop, no matter who it is, there's something that we can exchange and offer each other. Whether that's a smile, whether that's a random comment, whether that is something challenging, like if something gets triggered inside of us. That was a big thing for me, is when I started to see that I would get triggered by like random strangers. I was like, all right, what's that about?
Wow.
Like, why is that person annoying me? And I've literally never met them in my life. And that gave me insight into, there's something going on inside of me that's getting triggered. What's that about? And so that's like, that person is a teacher to me. They're teaching me something about myself just by their energy and presence.
Wow.
We don't even have to talk and they can be a teacher.
That's amazing. We don't even have to talk, but they can be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So
Children are great at that. Like if you think about, if you observe children, you know, just their energy as a teacher, just the way that they play, just the way that they interact with life, their curiosity, their joy, or, you know, even sometimes when they're sad or whatever's going on, that's an incredible teacher just to witness, and you don't have to have any interaction, just, you know, just watching.
That's fascinating. So aside from sort of learning from teachers all around us, I assume you sort of have a few guides in your life or mentors in your life that you think have kind of helped get you where you are. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, I think that, there's these kind of what I would call soul ties that you have with people that I don't know how along the way somewhere you agreed to have this soul tie with this person. And this can be completely platonic. This can be romantic. This can be a marriage, a relationship, a best friend. And I had a post on my website where I was talking about bosom friends. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah, of course.
But Diana and Anne of Green Gables, they were bosom friends, you know, and I think about that. Like, there are people in your life that you have these soul ties with that are just, and I feel like there's only a few of them, you know, the people that you can tell anything to, the people that you are like in depth living life with, going through the trenches, experiencing, you know, the joy and the frustrations of life, and they're your people. And so those people have a very profound effect on your life. Those are mentors or teachers, and I have several of them, from best friends to spiritual workers that I have worked with in Peru to, you know, massage therapists. You know, it's like, the length of time you know them doesn't really matter. It's just how much access they have into speaking into your life, I guess.
That's really interesting, right? How much access. And I guess certain people are powerful in certain seasons when you need them as well.
Oh, for sure. And that's, to me, something that I hold with an open hand too. Like, any relationship that I have in my life, I have come to realize that it may be just for a season. And I used to really become attached to people, like people that would come into my life and I would just think, gosh, they're my best friend. I can't imagine living life without them. I want them there forever. And then inevitably life happens and things shift, and, you know, whatever it is. And it's so beautiful if you can hold those relationships with an open hand, because I feel like you can be so much more present when you realize that this time may be limited with them, and be present, show up, you know, engage with them, and realize that at some point something may shift and they may not be in your life forever.
Right.
And there's no way to know that, you know, obviously it's just, it's kind of that agreement somehow.
So when it comes to sort of the organization you've built at doTERRA, you've got, you know, many thousands of men and women that you lead, and probably in many senses of the word, you mentor them? Or
for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So you think
Definitely.
of yourself as a mentor?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So how have you kind of come to learn to mentor people? Is that a learned skill, or how do you know how to do it?
Well, that's such an interesting question. I think that it is a learned skill. I absolutely think anybody can learn how to mentor. I think for me, there was kind of a natural thing that I had going for me already. I really enjoy leading. I like kind of bringing people together and going somewhere together. But I think that there are ways to do that are more effective than others. And so I guess for me, it was the first piece that I think goes along with mentoring is this idea of belonging and community.
Okay. Talk to me.
So in order for you to mentor somebody, I believe that you've got to give yourself permission to do it, and you've got to earn permission from the people that you're leading or the people that you're mentoring. And so it's like, if I came into some, you know, random person's life and said, okay, like, we're going to do this together and follow me, you know, what have I done to earn their trust? I mean, nothing, you know? And so I tend to think of, what can I do in a relationship with these people to create belonging and trust, you know, where we have a relationship to where when I say, here's what I see in you, I know you're so capable, I know you were so gifted in these areas, and I know you have what it takes to do this, then they can go, this person actually knows me, and so I can buy into her belief for me. And that's important. People won't buy into your belief you have for them if you haven't established that belonging. You know, that sense of community. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm wondering so have you been in situations before where you've learned that you haven't had people buy in enough for you to be their leader?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. And, cause I get excited about things. And so I sort of like will jump the gun or speak into people's life. And so one thing that I really learned is to always ask permission. So with my coaching clients, for example, as we're developing a relationship, I always say, do I have permission to coach you?
Wow.
Or are you open to receiving a little coaching on this? Or are you open to receiving a little feedback? And so I never want to presume that they want it or that they're ready at this time. And so the way I think of it is, are they willing, and we can agree on this, are they willing to hold the space for it to get uncomfortable? Are they willing? Because you know how sometimes in some days you're like really open and anybody could come at you with some feedback and some challenge and you'd be like, yes, like I'm on it. I've got this, and there's days where you're like, please don't tell me because I will be on a puddle on the floor. I literally just can't handle it today. And so for me, part of that trust is by asking permission. And so I think about doing that individually. And then also like, how can I create that as an environment for a group? So I get big buy-in versus individual buy-in as well. Cause I can't with the size of my team, I certainly can't get individual buy-in from everybody. So it becomes kind of a collective buy-in.
But this idea of sort of collective mentoring or collective coaching can also be quite effective, right?
Oh yeah, I do. I would say now, outside of my coaching clients, I pretty much do all group mentoring now. So I do like a Skype call or a Zoom call with probably 10 or so people. And to me, mentoring is so much more about equipping people to lead. Like I want to pass the baton over. I want to develop these leaders. And so it's not the Mary show. Mentoring is so much about, giving a little bit of my 2 cents, but then treating us as equals and saying like, well, what do you think? What do you have? What's the input you have? And really building up that confidence in people that they can do it as well.
And do you think it's pretty common for mentors to also be able to get something from their mentees in return? Do your mentees teach you things along the way?
Oh yeah. I think that the key element in any type of leadership is to stay teachable.
Stay teachable.
And the moment that you feel like there's only a certain type of person that can teach you something.
Yeah.
Ugh, yikes. That's an ego check. I think that it goes always. So the people that are mentoring me, I have a coach, I'm learning from her. I am teaching other people and I'm also learning from them. And so absolutely, I have learned so much from the people that I mentor just by seeing the way that they think about things and different personality strengths and characteristics. And their map of the world is so different than mine that they're seeing the possibility of us doing a project together so differently than what I'm seeing it as. And so that's where that collective energy is so powerful, is when you can kind of get all these different viewpoints. And if you know how to harness that and come up with, keeping it on track, you come up with so many better ideas than just yourself.
Yeah. And it's this idea of, I guess, sharpening the saw also, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You needing to stay in the thick of things and know what's new and
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So I remember you and I were at an event a couple months ago and we were kind of having a group session or a small group talk, and you were so open about the fact that you have these coaches, right, in your life, which is really wonderful. And I'm like just sort of starting to come around to the power of coaching the last year, I'd say. But I think I think it's really inspiring to look at someone with your success who is so open about receiving coaching, because I don't know, there's kind of probably this sense that some people have that when you become successful, you don't need the guidance because you know how to do the things. Yeah.
Well, I think that maybe it's the way I think about it, that in my mind, I don't really ever think that I have arrived. And so for me, like, hearing you say, well, you've hit this level of success, it's like, man, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
I am just getting started. And so for me, I'm very eager. I'm still very eager to learn. Yeah. And I know that based on life experience or whatever, I absolutely do not know everything there is to know. And I think that I really saw that in my dad. He really modeled that. He had coaches as he began to become more successful. And I love that. Like, there are people who know more than you. And I think that the quickest way to success is surrounding yourself with people who are a little bit further ahead on the journey than you are, because they're going to be able to help you anticipate those things that are going to come up. They're going to help you create the plan to get around them quicker, easier, more efficiently than if you just try to go at it alone. So for me, it's like the secret sauce. I'm like, get as many people on your team as you can to help you see the blind spots that you have. Because it just makes it easier for you and it makes it quicker. And so I have two coaches whom I adore and I love and, rely on very heavily, to help me go to the next level and challenge me and challenge my thinking. Cause, your own thinking can get lazy really quick. And so to have somebody kind of jolt you and go, hey, wait a second, you just said this, and see how that's creating that pattern of giving you that result. It's like, oh man, I didn't even notice I was saying it. It's just so common for me. So having another set of eyes on it is, to me, the smartest thing that anyone can do. I love it. I would recommend it to anyone. Obviously, I coach myself, so I believe in it that much. But staying teachable to me is key.
Is absolutely essential.
Absolutely.
So I wonder, sort of one kind of last question on this topic is, I think for me, maybe it was easy not to seek coaching for so many years. I've always had mentors, but not to seek sort of this idea of really directed coaching into specific areas of my life because I was so busy just running my life, right?
Right.
And I bet a lot of people feel that way. And a lot of people feel like, why would I take this investment of time and money in this when I should just build more widgets, or you know what I mean, whatever it is. How do you kind of change that mindset essentially?
Well, I think it's a question of, do you enjoy being busy? Like, is that really, when you're asking yourself what you really want, what you want your life to be, do you really want to say, I'm just so busy or I'm so stressed out? Like, we use those terms all the time, like as kind of like a badge of honor. Like, well, I'm just so busy. Like, I'm just like literally like my schedule's overpacked. I'm just busy. And so it's like, but do you really want to live your life that way? Like, is that really, like, when you set out to begin this journey, like, was that the end goal? No, right. Like, that's not for anybody, right?
Right.
I mean, we would all like to have more time and to enjoy our lives more. And that busyness is so addictive that to me, a coach, the one person that can help you shift that and to go, what's the attachment to busyness? What's the attachment to overachieving? What is the attachment of, getting, attaching your self-worth to what you do versus who you are? That to me is the value of a coach, is shifting that to where you have more margin in your life. You have more time. My coach, every week I talk to her, slow down. And I'm like, no, I just want to run, I just let's go. And she's like, slow down. And I realize is like, when I get, in that frantic place, I got to do more. I realize that I'm really just trying to earn my worth. I'm trying to earn self-love by doing more, achieving more accolades, everything. And so that's not really ultimately what my soul is after. And so to me, it's like, you got to make the space for that, or else the only thing that you're going to keep getting as a result is more of the same. Busyness creates more busyness, creates burnout. Stress creates more stress. It's not like the more stressed out you're going to be, the more relaxed you're going to be, or the busier you're going to be, the more time you're going to have. It's like, none of those patterns are going to give you what you're after.
Right.
And it's a choice. It's recognizing, it's sort of that, now versus later mentality. It's slowing down to deal with your stuff now, so you can, have a better later, versus just putting everything feels like it's urgent and you don't have time for anything and it's just reactive.
So kind of just a last question, if I was someone and I was coming to you and I said, Mary, my life feels really frantic and busy and I feel like I don't really know what I'm on this planet for, or maybe some mornings I do when I'm in a good mood, but most of the time I don't. What would be kind of my first step if I wanted to look towards getting help to be a better me? What would be kind of a first small thing I could do?
I'm a big fan of reading. I feel like I read everything under the sun. So I would probably say, pick up a book. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I think that I would encourage somebody, if I didn't have the ability to coach them for 6 months like I would want to and take them through this whole process, I would say the first step of change and to becoming more clear on what it is that you want is to up-level your awareness and to get curious. The more aware you can be, it will eventually lead you to knowing what it is that you want and what you're made for. And that requires slowing down so that you can hear your own voice. And so that's why I'll bring it kind of all the way around to that pleasure hunt. Find what brings you pleasure. Find what makes you come alive. Start there. Like, I feel like if you can start there, the rest will take care of itself. What makes you come alive? What brings you joy? It can be the littlest things, you know. And I just, with one of my coaching clients this past week, I said, your job is to find 10 things before we talk next time that bring you pleasure, you know. And we're talking about awakening her sexuality, awakening her femininity. You know, she's a powerhouse executive, owns this incredible company, and she's lost touch with all of that, you know, and her body. And so it's like, find what brings, and we're not even addressing the sexuality piece. It's just find what brings any kind of pleasure: food, some art, flowers, the way something sounds, the way something looks, the way something feels, you know, kind of getting back in touch with your senses, upping that awareness so that that's going to lead you. Again, your soul's always on your team. Your soul's always going to lead you, you know, so it's just like upping that awareness to where you begin to see it little by little.
That's amazing. Your soul is always on your team.
Yeah.
This has been so good. So tell people where they can find more about you and the awesome work you do.
Yeah, awesome. So you can find me on my website at marycrimmins.com, and I have blog posts on there every week. I do workshops in Nashville, webinars. So I would love to see you there and welcome you. And yeah, it's such a fun community. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. So Mary Crimmins.
Thank you, Mary. This was fantastic. I'm so grateful for your time. I feel so inspired.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I love it.